Hello, I'm Clive Cussler, and I'd like to introduce you to the Oregon Files, a very unique series of tales of people and adventures from around the world. What inspired me to write the Oregon Files was a chapter or two in the book called Flood Tide. And I needed a device which was a ship to get into a Chinese harbor and out again. And the way to do it, I thought, was with an old tramp steamer. And this worked, and then I got the idea of making the old tramp steamer something very exotic. It had highly technical engines in it, rockets, and the crew was a crew of highly experienced and paid mercenaries. And deep down beneath this old rust bucket inside were Van Gogh paintings and Rembrandts hanging on the bulkheads, gourmet chefs, a wine steward. So I used it in the book, Flood Tide. And then the publisher, a few years later, asked me if I couldn't come up with a series using the Oregon as a kind of Mission Impossible, where they go around the world and get into all kinds of trouble. The Oregon is so unique among ships. It can do anything and go anywhere and be totally disguised, and nobody knows its true secrets. I think coming to life on the screen versus the book would be great fun, because now you could really visualize the descriptions out of the book. So visually, just a fantastic trip for the viewer.
Hello, I'm Daniel Tibbetts. I'm one of the executive producers of the Oregon Files. I've spent over 16 years developing scripted and non-scripted programming for cable, network, and syndication. My newest project, the Oregon Files, is one of the most exciting projects I've been involved with in the last few years. Our executive producing team of John Fassett and Scott Ross make up the expertise and experience to bring a new live-action format to television. When Bill McDonald and I first conceived and sold Rome to HBO, the concept was to look at where we are as a society today and mirror it to how man has not evolved in 2,000 years. Just as we developed Rome to relate to the viewer today, the Oregon Files is developed to look at the geopolitical struggles that affect each person in modern times. In the late 80s and 90s, the action hour gained momentum as stations looked to fill time periods on Friday and Saturday night. With a weak international marketplace, we saw the action hour slowly fade away. Today, we see the opportunity to bring the action hour back, but it's going to take a brand, a producing team, and a cast that can capture the viewer's imagination and bring something on a Friday or Saturday night that is going to be compelling and family viewing. It's the perfect vehicle to capture the international audience. Scott Ross brings a tremendous amount of production value to the Oregon Files. As general manager of Industrial Light and Magic and winning 8 Academy Awards, and then CEO of Digital Domain, taking home 5 Academy Awards, Scott knows how to create the scope and reality of this series and bring all his expertise of the big screen to the small screen.
My background is in visual effects, and I've been involved in bringing robots to the world in Terminator, sinking ships in Titanic, robots in iRobot, futuristic cities in The Fifth Element. But when we start looking at the Oregon Files and what needs to happen there, I'm really interested in being able to take my skill set and create images on the screen that's not really been seen before. Clive Cussler is thought of as one of the great storytellers of the world, and to be able to have the opportunity to work closely with Clive in developing these teleplays is just a dream come true. The Oregon Files is an exciting project for lots of different reasons. One is that when you have the amount of material that Clive and Dirk have put together on these properties, the opportunity to create something really vast and powerful, as well as really have some longevity to it at your fingertips, because so much of the material exists, is extraordinary. And in many ways, having been involved with the Indiana Jones films, I always thought that this was an Indiana Jones plus. You know, the combination of Indy and James Bond in the most unbelievable environments with some of the most unbelievable technology.
I think Dubai being the home port would be very exotic, rather than just have like San Francisco or you know, Marseille or something like that. But this is a class act. The Oregon is a very class act. So putting it in Dubai, I think, works out very well. They complement each other.
The crew of the Oregon Files is comprised of men and women that are the best and the brightest in the world today in science and technology, in strategy, in political sensibilities. And for them to be anywhere in the world, they would have to be in Dubai. The Middle East is becoming the center of the universe, particularly in that part of the world. What Dubai is doing in terms of shipping as well as finance really is a perfect setting for people that are the crew of the Oregon.